and welcome back again to the 80s Movie Den. So this is going to be episode 2 of my 8-part series entitled 1980s Action Stars. I feel like I'm slipping into a bit of a pattern here already. My second episode is basically going to be talking about arguably my second favorite action star of all time. Again, definitely in my top 3 for sure, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just a brief history on Arnold Schwarzenegger. Born July 30th, 1947. Grew up in Austria. He began bodybuilding at the age of 15, and he ended up winning his first Mr. Universe by age 20. By age 21, he had moved to the United States. He didn't know any English at all, and he had some lofty goals and ambitions for sure. He grew up in a very strict, very disciplined household, and I believe that because of that, it made him who he was. Extremely disciplined, extremely focused. He came to the United States without even knowing the language, and he has done a lot of things in his life. Not just, his bodybuilding alone really is what put him on the map. Was his bodybuilding, was his physique, and this is the movie I think that is probably the launching pad for him. The Pumping Iron documentary. If you haven't seen it, take a look at it. It really shows a side of Schwarzenegger that you don't normally see in the movies. Obviously physically he was imposing, but psychologically as well, he was very cerebral, especially in competition. I think he would often defeat his opponents before he even got onto the posing floor. He got into their heads pretty good. But again, it's that laser focus, that competitive, disciplined mentality that he has, even to this day, that has made him who he is. But basically, yeah, this movie put him on the map, in my opinion. He came to the United States to pursue bodybuilding. The US was basically the mecca of bodybuilding, and he went on to win, I think it was 7 Mr. Universe titles. Then he got into movies. I believe the very first movie he did was Hercules in New York, if I'm not mistaken. He could barely speak English at the time, so a lot of his lines were dubbed. I'm pretty sure it was that movie where his lines were dubbed. But I would say after Pumping Iron, his real big break into Hollywood movies and Hollywood stardom was Conan the Barbarian. Excellent movie. Again, language was a bit of a barrier, but what an amazing film Conan the Barbarian is. I will say for myself personally that Conan the Destroyer is a better movie. I enjoy it more. Some may argue with that, but I just love Conan the Destroyer. I think it's an amazing film. And again, how I had the Rocky movies on a loop when I was a young kid, Conan the Destroyer was on a loop for me. Conan the Barbarian, I hadn't even seen. Conan the Destroyer was the first Conan movie I'd watched as a youngster. I didn't watch the Conan the Barbarian movie until years later. I only thought there was a Conan the Destroyer, which is kind of funny. But I'd have to say, as far as my movie collection goes, this is probably the biggest collection I have of movies. This is definitely the biggest collection that I have. There's more movies as well. I have, Jingle All the Way and Kindergarten Cop, some of his more kind of fluffy movies I like to call. But I love all these movies. I enjoy them all. Obviously, I have some that I enjoy more than others, but Commando's right up there as well. Commando is just a phenomenal film. Great movie. Of course, Alyssa Milano was in that. Had a bit of a crush on her growing up as a kid, just a little bit. But yeah, Commando, the Terminator movies as well. Those were movies that I hadn't watched till later on. Predator, another great franchise. Awesome movies, highly entertaining. There were some awesome stars in the Predator movies, most notably Carl Weathers, Jesse the Body Ventura from the world of pro wrestling. Raw Deal's okay. Red Sonja is okay. Total Recall, really enjoy that. I think that's an awesome movie. One movie I don't have in my collection that I would like to pick up is True Lies with Jamie Lee Curtis. That is a highly entertaining movie. If you haven't seen that movie, I'd highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, like going back to Arnold Schwarzenegger, not just in acting, but that tremendous drive that he had in life led him into politics. He became the governor of California. He married into one of the most famous families in American history. Talk about the American dream. He definitely achieved that. Coming from Austria and not knowing the language, but having a clear set of goals in mind and just going for it. Very inspiring, for sure. Very inspiring. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting now that I think about it. A lot of his movies, of all the movies that he's made, Conan the Destroyer and Commando were probably the two movies that I watched the most growing up in the 1980s. But I've watched his movies, you know, all through my life. And the Terminator films are fantastic. I think after the Conan the Destroyer and Commando movies, the 1990 Terminator 2 film is the next most watched movie. If I had to make a list of the most watched Arnold Schwarzenegger films, those would be my three for sure: Conan the Destroyer, Commando, and Terminator 2. Another movie that I absolutely love, and I don't even know if it's here. Oh yes, it is right here. Running Man, underrated film. This movie is fantastic. So much fun to watch. Interesting premise as well. Pretty creepy, actually, pretty eerie kind of premise with this film. But very fun movie. Very, very interesting story for sure. But yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, definitely one of my top most favorite, most watched action stars of the 1980s growing up. And yeah, still to this day, I will watch these movies. So yeah, that will do it for episode 2 of my 1980s action stars. And stay tuned for episode 3. We're going to get into some surprises, I believe. Yeah, look out for those. Of course, if you're new to the channel and you enjoy the content and you feel like subscribing, please do so. It helps out a lot. Hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications. I do a video every Saturday. I do a Friday night short, and I also do the odd Sunday release as well. This has been the 80s Movie Den, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.